The hidden psychology of emotionally intelligent people. Most people think intelligence is about how fast you think, how quickly you solve problems, how many facts you remember, how impressive you sound in a conversation. But psychology has uncovered something surprising. Some of the smartest people you'll ever meet don't stand out because of their IQ. They stand out because of something far less visible, something most people completely overlook: emotional intelligence. And once you understand how emotionally intelligent people experience the world, you'll realize they operate on a level that many people never reach. The strange thing is that emotional intelligence rarely looks impressive from the outside. It doesn't attract attention, it doesn't demand recognition. In fact, emotionally intelligent people often appear ordinary. They don't need to dominate every discussion. They don't constantly prove how much they know. They don't feel the urge to win every argument, because they're focused on something far more important: understanding. While most people are busy trying to be heard, emotionally intelligent people are trying to understand what others are actually saying. And those are not the same thing. Think about the last time you had a disagreement with someone. Most people enter disagreements with a hidden objective. They want to win. They want to prove they're right. They want validation. They want the other person to admit defeat. But emotionally intelligent people approach conflict differently. They ask a question most people never think to ask. What is this person really feeling? Because they understand something psychology has been teaching for decades. People rarely argue about what they're arguing about. A husband complains that his wife never listens. A wife complains that her husband spends too much time at work. A friend gets angry over a canceled dinner. On the surface, these seem like simple disagreements. But underneath, they're often expressions of deeper emotional needs: a desire to feel valued, a fear of rejection, a longing for connection, anxiety about losing someone important. Emotionally intelligent people know that emotions are often hidden beneath words, and because of that, they listen differently. Most people hear language. Emotionally intelligent people hear meaning. They notice pauses, changes in tone, facial expressions, moments of hesitation, the things that are left unsaid. Research suggests that a significant portion of human communication is nonverbal. In other words, what people communicate often has less to do with the words they choose and more to do with how those words are delivered. Emotionally intelligent people instinctively pay attention to these signals, not because they're trying to analyze everyone, because they're naturally aware, and that awareness changes everything. Imagine walking into a room full of people. Most individuals notice the obvious: who's talking, who's laughing, who's getting attention. Emotionally intelligent people notice something else: who's unusually quiet, who's forcing a smile, who's uncomfortable, who's feeling left out, who's pretending to be okay. It's almost as if they're tuned into a different frequency, a frequency built from emotional information. And here's where things become interesting. Many people assume emotional intelligence is something you're born with. Psychology suggests otherwise. While some people may naturally possess greater emotional awareness, emotional intelligence is largely developed through experience, especially difficult experiences. Think about someone who has experienced heartbreak, loss, disappointment, failure, betrayal. Painful experiences often force people to become more emotionally aware, not because they want to, because they have to. Suffering has a strange way of teaching lessons that comfort never could. When you've experienced deep emotional pain, you begin noticing it in others. You recognize the signs. You understand the silence. You understand the forced smile. You understand the exhaustion behind someone's eyes, because you've been there. This is one reason emotionally intelligent people are often incredibly compassionate. They know what it feels like to struggle internally while appearing fine externally. They know how easy it is for others to miss what you're going through. And because they know that feeling, they become the kind of people who pay attention. The kind of people who ask, "Are you really okay?" and actually mean it. But emotional intelligence isn't just about understanding others. In many ways, it begins with understanding yourself. This sounds simple, yet most people spend years disconnected from their own emotions. Someone feels angry, but underneath the anger is disappointment. Someone feels irritated, but underneath the irritation is fear. Someone feels numb, but underneath the numbness is grief. Many people experience emotions without fully understanding them. Emotionally intelligent people learn to dig deeper. Instead of asking, "What am I feeling?" they ask, "Why am I feeling this?" That single question changes everything, because emotions are messages. They contain information. They tell us when something matters, when something feels unsafe, when a boundary has been crossed, when a need isn't being met. But most people never learn how to read those messages. They either suppress their emotions or become controlled by them. Emotionally intelligent people do something different. They become curious, curious about their reactions, curious about their fears, curious about their motivations, and that curiosity creates self-awareness. Psychologist Daniel Goleman, whose work helped popularize emotional intelligence, identified self-awareness as one of its most important foundations. Without self-awareness, emotional intelligence cannot exist, because you cannot manage emotions you don't understand. You cannot improve patterns you don't recognize. And you cannot build healthy relationships while remaining blind to your own emotional habits. This is why emotionally intelligent people often spend a lot of time reflecting, not overthinking, reflecting. There's a difference. Overthinking traps you in circles. Reflection helps you find understanding. Emotionally intelligent people frequently examine their experiences, not to criticize themselves, but to learn. They ask questions like, why did that situation upset me so much? Why did I react defensively? Why do I keep attracting similar relationships? Why does that comment still bother me days later? These questions aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of growth. Because every answer reveals something important about who they are. And the more they understand themselves, the better they become at understanding others. But this deeper awareness creates a challenge that most people never see. A challenge that emotionally intelligent people quietly carry throughout their lives. Because once you become highly aware of emotions, you begin noticing emotional realities that everyone else ignores. And sometimes that awareness can feel less like a gift and more like a burden. The hidden psychology of emotionally intelligent people. Most people assume emotional intelligence makes life easier. After all, if you understand people better, relationships should be smoother. If you're self-aware, you should make better decisions. If you're empathetic, people should appreciate you. At least that's the theory. Reality is often very different. Because the same emotional awareness that allows emotionally intelligent people to connect deeply with others can also become a burden they carry every single day. One of the most misunderstood truths about emotionally intelligent people is this: they often feel things that don't belong to them. Walk into a room where tension exists, and they sense it immediately. Sit beside someone who's hurting, and they feel the weight of that pain before a single word is spoken. Spend enough time around negativity, and they begin carrying emotional exhaustion that was never theirs to begin with. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as emotional contagion. Human emotions are surprisingly contagious. The mood of one person can spread throughout an entire group. Anxiety spreads, anger spreads, stress spreads, even joy spreads. But emotionally intelligent individuals often absorb these emotional signals more intensely than most people. It's as though their emotional antenna is always switched on, constantly receiving information, constantly processing, constantly responding. And while this helps them understand others, it also creates a problem. Nobody teaches them how to switch it off. Think about that for a moment. Imagine walking through life feeling not only your own emotions but traces of everyone else's as well. The coworker hiding stress, the friend pretending everything is fine, the family member silently carrying grief, the stranger struggling through a difficult day. Most people move past these encounters without noticing. Emotionally intelligent people often carry them home, long after everyone else has forgotten. This is why many emotionally intelligent people feel mentally exhausted without understanding why. They assume something is wrong with them. They think they're too sensitive, too emotional, too affected by things. But often the issue isn't weakness, it's emotional overload. Their minds and nervous systems are processing far more emotional information than the average person realizes. And that level of awareness comes at a cost. Another surprising challenge is that emotionally intelligent people often become the unofficial therapist in their social circles. Have you ever noticed how certain people attract confessions? Complete strangers tell them personal stories. Friends call them during crises. Coworkers seek them out for advice. Family members unload years of emotional baggage onto them. This isn't an accident. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel understood. And emotionally intelligent people excel at making others feel safe. Safe enough to be vulnerable. Safe enough to be honest. Safe enough to reveal parts of themselves they hide from everyone else. But there's a hidden danger here. The more emotionally capable someone appears, the more people assume they're okay. The listener becomes invisible. Everyone talks. Nobody asks how they're doing. Everyone receives support. Nobody notices when they need support themselves. This creates a painful paradox. Emotionally intelligent people often understand everyone around them, yet very few people truly understand them. And that loneliness can be profound. Not because they're physically alone, Because they're emotionally unseen. The world tends to celebrate people who give, people who help, people who support others. But emotional intelligence can quietly turn into emotional self-neglect. Many emotionally intelligent individuals become so focused on understanding everyone else's needs that they forget to protect their own. They avoid conflict, they keep the peace, they make accommodations, they forgive repeatedly, they give second chances, then third chances, then fourth chances, not because they're naive, because they understand why people behave the way they do. And sometimes that understanding becomes dangerous. You see, emotionally intelligent people often recognize the pain behind harmful behavior. They see the childhood wounds, the insecurity, the fear, the unresolved trauma, the loneliness. They understand the reasons. But understanding someone's pain doesn't erase the damage they cause. This is a lesson many emotionally intelligent people learn the hard way, especially in relationships. They stay longer than they should. They tolerate more than they should. They excuse behavior that others would walk away from because they can see the hurt beneath the actions. Unfortunately, empathy without boundaries becomes self-destruction. And eventually, many emotionally intelligent people discover a difficult truth. Compassion is important, but self-respect is equally important. Understanding someone doesn't mean accepting everything they do. Loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. Helping someone doesn't mean carrying responsibilities that belong to them. The healthiest emotionally intelligent people eventually learn where their responsibility ends and where another person's responsibility begins. But perhaps the greatest challenge of emotional intelligence is something far more subtle: awareness. The more emotionally aware you become, the harder it becomes to ignore uncomfortable truths. You notice insincerity, you recognize manipulation. You see relationships that are slowly falling apart. You notice when someone no longer means what they say. You sense when a friendship has become one-sided. You recognize when someone's smile is hiding resentment. Many people live comfortably because they don't see these things. Emotionally intelligent people often can't help seeing them. And sometimes ignorance truly would be easier, because awareness creates responsibility. Once you see something clearly, pretending not to see it becomes difficult. This is why emotionally intelligent people sometimes seem quiet, reserved, reflective. They're not disengaged, they're processing, observing, understanding. They often notice dynamics that everyone else misses, and carrying that awareness can feel isolating. Yet despite all these challenges, emotionally intelligent people continue to show up for others. They continue listening, caring, supporting, encouraging, not because it's easy, because they know how much it matters. They understand a truth that many people never fully grasp. Every person is fighting a battle that remains invisible to everyone else. Every smile hides a story. Every person carries fears, regrets, dreams, losses, and struggles. The emotionally intelligent person never forgets that. But what separates truly exceptional, emotionally intelligent people from everyone else isn't empathy. It isn't awareness. And it isn't understanding. It's something much deeper. A skill that allows them to remain calm when others lose control. A quality that transforms emotional intelligence from a gift into genuine wisdom. And that is where the story becomes even more fascinating. The hidden psychology of emotionally intelligent people. There's a reason emotionally intelligent people often become the individuals others trust during moments of crisis. When emotions run high, most people react. Emotionally intelligent people respond. At first glance, those may sound like the same thing. They aren't. A reaction is automatic. A response is intentional. And that difference can change the course of an entire relationship, career, or life. Think about what happens when someone feels attacked. Most people instinctively defend themselves. They interrupt, raise their voice, become defensive, fight back, or shut down completely. The emotional brain takes control. Psychologists often refer to this as an emotional hijacking. A moment when emotions become so intense that rational thinking temporarily loses influence. Everyone experiences this. Even highly intelligent people, even successful people, even people with years of life experience. The difference is that emotionally intelligent individuals learn to recognize these moments as they're happening. They notice the rising frustration, the growing anger, the tightening chest, the racing thoughts, and instead of becoming those emotions, they observe them. This is one of the most powerful psychological skills a person can develop. The ability to separate yourself from what you're feeling. Not suppress it, not deny it, simply recognize it. Because the moment you can observe an emotion, you gain influence over it. And the moment you gain influence over it, you stop becoming controlled by it. This doesn't mean emotionally intelligent people never get angry. They do. They feel disappointment, frustration, fear, jealousy, heartbreak. just like everyone else. The difference is that they understand emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent identities. They don't say, I am angry. Instead, consciously or unconsciously, they understand I am experiencing anger. That subtle shift changes everything, because emotions come and go. But when people attach their identity to every emotion they experience, those emotions begin controlling their decisions. Emotionally intelligent people learn something many never discover. Not every feeling deserves immediate action. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you should send the message. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean you should end the relationship. Just because you're afraid doesn't mean you should abandon the opportunity. Feelings contain information, but they aren't always instructions, and that wisdom often protects emotionally intelligent people from mistakes that others spend years regretting. This ability becomes especially valuable during conflict. Most arguments escalate because neither person feels understood. Each side becomes more focused on defending themselves than understanding the other person. The conversation stops being about connection. It becomes about victory. But emotionally intelligent people recognize a hidden truth. Winning an argument can sometimes mean losing a relationship. And losing a relationship is rarely worth proving a point. That doesn't mean they avoid difficult conversations. In fact, emotionally intelligent people often have the most difficult conversations. But they approach them differently. They ask questions. They seek clarity. They stay curious. Instead of assuming intentions, they explore them. Instead of attacking character, they address behavior. Instead of escalating emotions, they create space for understanding. And because of this, people often trust them. Not immediately, but over time. Trust is built through emotional consistency. People feel safe around those who remain steady during uncertainty, predictable during chaos, calm during conflict. Emotionally intelligent people develop that reputation, not because they're perfect, because they're reliable. Others know they won't overreact, they won't humiliate, they won't weaponize vulnerability, they won't exploit weaknesses. And in a world where trust has become increasingly rare, that kind of emotional stability becomes incredibly valuable. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about emotionally intelligent people is how they view human nature itself. Most people divide the world into categories: good people, bad people, right, wrong, friend, enemy. Emotionally intelligent people often see something more complicated. They understand that human beings are messy, contradictory, capable of kindness and selfishness, wisdom and foolishness, strength and weakness, sometimes all in the same day. This perspective changes how they judge others and how they judge themselves. Instead of demanding perfection, they focus on growth. Instead of asking, is this person good or bad? They ask, why are they behaving this way? Instead of asking, why did I fail? They ask, what can I learn from this? That mindset creates resilience because life inevitably includes mistakes, disappointments, failures, embarrassing moments, broken relationships, missed opportunities. Nobody escapes these experiences. The difference lies in how people interpret them. Some people see failure as proof they aren't good enough. Emotionally intelligent people eventually learn to see failure as information, painful information, but information nonetheless, and information can be used, learned from, built upon. This is why many emotionally intelligent individuals become stronger with age. While others become more rigid, they become more adaptable. While others become more judgmental, they become more understanding. While others become more fearful of change, they become more comfortable with uncertainty. Because emotional intelligence isn't about controlling life. It's about learning how to navigate it. And perhaps that's the greatest misconception of all. People often believe emotionally intelligent individuals have figured everything out. They haven't. They still struggle. They still make mistakes. They still experience heartbreak, anxiety, disappointment, and doubt. The difference is that they've learned how to move through those experiences without becoming trapped by them. They understand that pain is part of life, but suffering is often shaped by how we respond to pain. They understand that emotions matter, but emotions don't always tell the whole story. They understand that relationships require empathy, but empathy must be balanced with boundaries. And they understand that true strength isn't found in pretending to be unaffected. It's found in remaining open-hearted despite everything life throws your way. So here's the question worth considering. When you think of strength, what comes to mind? Someone who never cries? Someone who never struggles? Someone who appears completely unaffected by life? Or could real strength be something else entirely? Could it be self-awareness, compassion, patience, understanding? Could it be the courage to feel deeply without becoming overwhelmed? To care without losing yourself? To remain kind in a world that often rewards indifference? Psychology increasingly points toward an answer. The strongest people are not necessarily the toughest. They're often the most emotionally intelligent. Because emotional intelligence allows people to do something extraordinary. It allows them to understand themselves, connect with others, navigate challenges, and grow through experiences that might otherwise break them. That's not weakness. That's not sensitivity. That's not softness. That's a form of strength far more powerful than most people realize. And perhaps that's why the most emotionally intelligent people rarely need to prove how strong they are. Their lives already demonstrate it. The end final engagement question. Do you believe emotional intelligence is more important than IQ in today's world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.